Hey there, folks. It's Joey here with a just a topic video for today in light of the recent news and upcoming release of Dracula Untold. Sorry about the background noise. I'm trying to get comfortable. The It's been revealed that Dracula Untold will actually be the start of the Universal Monsters cinematic universe now. If you're like a general populace and you're trying to figure out what the hell that means, the best example I can give is what Marvel is doing. Before Marvel, you kind of had superhero movies just kind of happen, and they had their own stories and their own universe problems. Universal, ironic. Um, so for example, you had like the X-Men movies, and they weren't connected to Spider-Man. Spider-Man wasn't connected to the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four wasn't connected to Daredevil. You know, of that nature. And Dark Knight wasn't connected to Superman Returns, and all that stuff. It wasn't like how most people would see it if it's like, oh, the Avengers are one thing, and then you have the Justice League and etc. etc. And everybody's trying to build a universe, and that's why Batman v Superman's being made, so that way DC can, you know, launch their, quote unquote cinematic universe or, shared universe, if you will. This would mean that we would get Mummy films, Frankenstein, Wolfman, more than likely because those are the really iconic ones. Um, and I really wasn't very excited for Dracula Untold. I'm not saying that just to make myself sound cool. The trailers didn't really appeal to me. I mean, Luke Evans is a decent actor. I like Charles Dance, but basically everything I just didn't care for this movie. It just felt like uh it's like a combination of issues that I have a problem with. First off, I just want to say I did not see this movie yet. It's not out in the States until the 10th of October. It already had an international opening on this past Tuesday, September 30th, and I don't plan on seeing it. If I do see it, I probably would see it at my public library, or if anything, after the film is like a couple weeks old and they have like a morning screening of it, then maybe, because I don't feel like investing a whole lot of money into it. Like if this thing's like, for example, I'm not gonna see, probably not gonna see it opening weekend, and I don't want to contribute to its big opening weekend that would confirm Dracula 2 or Frankenstein meets the Wolfman spin-off and all that stuff. Um, the big problem I think really is that I had a blog a while ago where I had listed a bunch of movies that I thought unintentionally ruined movies. And in my opinion, rightfully so, I placed the Avengers and the Marvel Cinematic Universe at number 2. Why I think this? Well, let's take a look at Marvel for a second. You might not like all of Marvel's films, you might not like all of Marvel's characters, and you might get annoyed by the fact they have after credit scenes and scenes in their movies where it's, they exist just for the sake of fan service and developing for, future movies. I don't mind having almost a tease for the next movie, but just don't make it part of the main plot. I think is the problem sometimes, which is why I didn't like the Thanos scene in Guardians, because it really added to nothing in the movie. Um, you can have minor things here and there, like they did in the first Iron Man, but it just kind of seems like they've gone away from that a little bit. But at least for the most part, Marvel understands its source material, and I think they do a somewhat effective job with their source material. Whereas it seems with Dracula Untold, where I could be wrong, I could walk out of Dracula Untold when I see it I can rent it on DVD and say it's a good movie, but as I read reviews and watch reviews online, it just doesn't seem like it gets why we love the Universal monsters. It's just trying to be like, oh my god, he is the hero. He must live long enough to see himself become the villain. We need monsters. It's like, come on. Really? I mean, part of that is Dark Knight influence. I think that's another movie that the Nolan Batman movies are kind of another issue where they themselves are good movies, but they've inspired movies that are just total garbage and really pretentious, and now making a dark, version of something is just so cliche. And that's why I think a lot of people gravitate towards Marvel a lot of the time. It's because they're not just these overly brooding, overly dark movies. They have moments of seriousness, but they're generally lighthearted pieces of entertainment that most people will enjoy. So that's, I think, what separates Marvel from other cinematic universes. Like, you have Spider-Man, which is just all it exists to do is just to set up Sinister Six, and then what? That's it. It's not even preparing for, its own movie. It's just preparing for the next 3 movies. It's more like a teaser or PowerPoint slide for future installments. X-Men. I love Days of Future Past, but the real purpose of that movie was to get the X-Men franchise rearranged so that way they can relaunch the franchise without actually having to relaunch it. Same deal. You also have the DC movies, Man of Steel. It's a boring movie. Kind of partially, I think, a bit rushed in some ways, so that we can capitalize on the Dark Knight popularity and all that stuff. But also because they want a franchise like Marvel. And that's why Batman v Superman's getting made, because they want to establish their own gigantic shared universe. And from the reviews that I've been reading, it seems like at the end of Dracula Untold, we're going to get something like that. And one of the biggest issues with Dracula Untold is that some of the mythology with Dracula in this movie is unclear. Some of the rules of being a vampire are unclear. Stuff of that nature. So, as I think about it now, I'm not very excited for this movie. Like I said, I'm probably going to wait till it comes to my public library to rent it. So that's really all I have today. What are your thoughts on this new Dracula movie? Are you going to see it? I hope you say no. But if those of you who are, what attracts you to this property? And just let me know in the comments, I guess. I don't know. I don't say that too often in my videos anymore. But yeah, that's about it. So thank you for listening to my, 7.5 minute babblings. See you later.